Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us once again in our series of videos. We have been dealing with our nature and the aspects of our nature which make us human. And of these aspects of our nature that make us human, those that can be convenient, that can take us to a meaningful and gratifying life, and those that can maybe take us into more erratic and less than profitable ways of existing. So, today we're going to talk a little bit about this next aspect of our nature, which is our edifying nature. So, what we don't know, we don't grasp immediately, is the fact that we are builders. That's because we're primates, aren't we? And then you look at our cousins, the monkeys, and you don't see much construction and much order in what they do. But then, on the other hand, when you look at it closer, and you put a lens and a magnifying glass on what they do, you find more meaning and more order than you imagine at a first sight. Well, we, on the other hand, we are obviously constructive. If you have any doubt about that, just look around you, see where you're dwelling, see where you're watching this video from. By any chance, is it from the top of a tree or from a prairie? Are you sitting on dirt? No. You're all you're doing, all the access, all the possibility, the technology involved in this chat is material that has been previously built. So there's no questioning here. You can say, well, we're aggressive. We're filled with aggressivity or aggressiveness, which are two different concepts. Okay, but we can put that a little bit aside because that's a part of us. We have another part, maybe the predominating part. The most significant part is always constructing, building, intertwining. So we are builders by nature. We are builders by nature, and we are always involved in some kind of progression. We are always involved in some kind of collective construction. We are able to weave our existence in a progressively pacifying and harmonizing way. I'll come to that in a few minutes. But we are always involved in some kind of progression. We are always winding up towards something. We are always busy at something. And that is always something we're building. Now, you can be busy doing evil stuff, you can be busy doing immoral stuff, and you can be busy building up with other people or with yourself or whatever. And then what we notice is that we consequently are edifying even when we try not to be. And that's a trick. So we're always building something, even when we try not to build something. And it is also impossible to evaluate, to calculate how relevant our attitudes, our decisions, our choices, and our strategies will be later on for future generations or for people at the present moment which are at a certain distance of us. Now, the point is that as time goes by and we carry on a path and we carry on just existing as human beings, we have this building. And the more we are dedicated to it, the more we agree with it, the more we find it congruent to our wishes and to our desires and to our aspirations, then the stronger grows our tendency to be pacifying and harmonizing. Why is that? Because if you're sufficiently passive, you're sufficiently busy building something, like let's take the example of a farming plantation. If you're sufficiently busy with that, you don't have much time to get arguing or getting yourself into trouble with other people or fighting or disagreeing. You're busy on your business. So, usually, busy people are less prone to quarrels. Busy people are less prone to envy, and busy people are less have a weaker tendency to be comparing themselves with one another. For this building nature we have several tools. We're gifted with an intelligence which is extremely high. It sometimes comes to be a problem for us. Sometimes we might feel we are too sharp, and we start building some machines and gadgets that we start fearing will get out of our control. Like, for instance, artificial intelligence. Now things have cooled off a little bit with artificial intelligence, but a few months ago, a couple of years ago, it was boiling. An artificial intelligent device will take my place. Well, why not? Depending on what you do, might even be true. But we have this intelligence that sometimes surpasses us. Then we have our free front hands. Lots of people like to talk about this, but in the days when we had 4 paws and four hands, we started using the hind members to stand, and we freed our top members, our upper limbs. With that, we were able to execute things in a more precise fashion, and that would be directly connected to our intelligence. No idea to what an extent that is a fact. No idea. But anyway, we do have these characteristics. Huge handicraft and huge skill. But maybe the most important thing in our nature is we learned to cooperate. And then if you go after the word cooperation, we find cooperation, which means operating together, working as a whole, being responsible for certain parts, which add up a total, a complete, a collective achievement. Ancient cities are that way. Artificial intelligence, the internet, the exchange of information we have today, that is all cooperative. Now, but one of the things besides that, our extreme intelligence, our extreme skills, our cooperation, which is unseen anywhere else on the planet Earth, we also have a tool, which is the ability to love. Now, when we talk about love, immediately, the immediate idea that comes, if you're 15, 16 years old, the first thing that comes to your mind is your girlfriend, your boyfriend, a romantic involvement. If you're a little older, you say love you, immediately you think on your offspring. You think on your kids, your children. And then if you're a little bit older, then you immediately think on your grandchildren. But we are talking about love here in a more expanded way. We're thinking of love here as all that can bring on commitment to me. So how can I tell what I really love in life, what I really cherish? Check on where you are committed, to what you are committed, to which values are you bound. This will give you precise information about the direction where your love goes. There is another one also. Just check where your money goes. Your money goes where you love. So if you spend a huge amount of your voluntary money, your voluntary cash on a certain activity, then the activity is what you in fact love. And we must have love, interpersonal love, intergenerational love, interracial love, interethnic love. We need all these different possibilities of love, but we're basically motivated in a loving way. So if you really want to be into something without being a slave of that thing, then you might as well do something you love. Love, then, in the Greek is split up into agape, which is love in the most sublime and universal sense. Love is love. But what is agape? Agape is love. That's it, without other specifications. Then you have eros, and eros is erotic love. But here, let's understand erotic love as something more in the sense of what Freud used to call it, than what we have than the immediate impression we get from erotic. Erotic, we immediately think of genital love. Then you have philos, and philos is love by identification, which is if I am a fan of a certain club and someone else is a fan of the same club, then we kind of have a loving, friendly experience. Love through similarity, love by identification, love by common traits. That is what philos is about. So we have all these possibilities of learning, and then you say, which is the important one? I'll immediately tell you, they're all important. They're all about, because it's about love directed to what kind of object? That's the difference between these forms of love. But it's all love, if you think of it in a more deeper fashion. So we have Darwin, on the other hand, at the beginning of his work, we have the phrase struggle for life. Everyone picks up struggle for life as the basics of his hypothetical evolution of the species. But then we forget that it's also, he brings it. It's a very old book, okay? So lots of things he writes there would sound somewhat innocent to us, somewhat naive, if you like. But he says that in the same book where he talks about struggle for life, he talks about happiness. And he says, the healthy and the happy reproduce. Then he's talking about plants, he's talking about domestic animals, domestic birds. He says the happy and the healthy reproduce. So equally important for survival is the fact, equally important as being able to struggle for life, is being able to experience happiness, peace, well-being, and sufficient ease to reproduce. Now, we are not hens, we are not oxen, we are human beings, so we are not only about biological reproduction, we are about cultural reproduction, we are about technological knowledge reproduction. And then we are just as reproductive as animals in captivity, which are being bred for the flesh, for the meat, for the flesh, or for the eggs. Finally, we have the important point is that it's not just about being skilled to compete and to get the best result and to win. That's what Darwin is talking about. No, it's not. That's an aspect of species and the origin of species. The other aspect is that whatever is done must strive, must head, must wind up in well-being. There is no sense not having well-being. So well-being, psychological well-being, physical well-being, is a prop. It is a mainstay. It's a stanchion for the loving experience, and vice versa. So in order to achieve, to build, you must love. And then, in order to love, you must be well. If you're not well, you don't love enough. You don't love sufficiently. You don't love as you should. You can grow ill in your love. Yes, you can. I don't have the reference with me, but I read that Lacan, Jacques Lacan, the French psychoanalyst, at the end of his life, at the end of his days, he was interviewed and someone asked him, after all, what is psychoanalysis about? And you can extend that for psychotherapy as a whole. What is all this thing for? And he said, look, if for nothing less, if nothing more, at least help people love better. Help people to love better. So you can love well, and you can love not so well. And all your capacity, all your ability to build comes from this extraordinary attribute we have, which is the capacity to love, which is something deeper. And then again, I say we must take a step back and move away from that romantic idea of love. The 18th, 19th century, if you like, the medieval idea of love. Unobtainable, unreachable, and all that dramatic stuff. None of that. As simple as you can love your plant, you can love the rug you have in your living room, you can love being alive. You can just love life as a whole. You're unhappy, but life is good. You're tired, but life is good. You are broken-hearted, but life is good. Life is something worthwhile being loved, not just lived. And I believe that's a way we can avoid several pitfalls and several slips we might have in our walking toward having a significant and gratifying life experience. Okay. Obviously, mindfulness is one skillful way of developing this nurturing of our loves, of our ability to love. Thank you very much for having followed us. If you enjoyed the video, give us a like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel to catch up on the other videos which relate to this one you have just watched. Thank you very much.